Hello everyone, this is Harry's Movie. In this issue, let's watch a British mystery film, The Vanishing. Thomas was a professional tower guard with 25 years of experience. He and another group of tower guards worked in shifts every 6 weeks. The assistants who went to the island with him this time were James and Donald. They encountered a big storm on the first night. Then there was another problem with the power system. It turned out to be the mercury that could keep the lights working. Everyone wore protective clothing and carefully cleaned up mercury. James told Donald to pay more attention because he heard that many good guards went crazy because they accidentally inhaled mercury. It may be that the storm was too big that many seagulls died around the lighthouse the next morning. After they cleaned the seagull carcass, Donald saw the dog kept barking at the cliff. He looked down and found a small boat and a comatose crew member. Thomas and James tied Donald with a rope and let him go down the cliff to check the crew. After Donald came down, he listened and found that the crew had no breath. Thomas guessed that this person should have been killed by the big storm last night. Donald saw a big wooden box not far away. He wanted to open it but the box was locked. So he tied the box with a rope and let Thomas and James pull the box up. Unexpectedly, the crew member woke up and attacked Donald from behind and wanted to take the box back. But the box has been pulled into the air. After being unable to grab the box, the crew turned and continued to attack Donald. Donald couldn't fight back and could only shout for help. The two people above could only pull the box up first. Only then could they use the rope to come to the bottom of the cliff to rescue Donald. But before they came down, Donald was held in the water by the other party. At the critical moment, he had to rely on himself. The survival instinct made Donald grab the rock from the bottom and throw it on the opponent's head. After a night of wind and waves, he was hammered twice when he woke up. The result could be imagined. After returning home, Donald was nervous at the thought of killing someone. Thomas calmed him as he killed the opponent out of helpless self-defense. He didn't need to put too much psychological pressure on himself. They would contact the ship after the radio was repaired and sent the man's body home. When James was about to open the box, he was stopped by Thomas. But in the middle of the night, Thomas couldn't help but want to sneak a glance. He saw a lot of gold beside the person's daily clothes. It was no wonder why that person almost killed Donald for the box. Thomas knew that this gold would bring trouble, so he relocked the box quietly. The next day, Donald also asked to see what was in the box that made that guy almost kill him. Thomas once again persuaded everyone not to open. Then he used the telescope to see what James and Donald were discussing. Sure enough, they pried to open the box without Thomas's consent. The two were excited after seeing gold. Donald's guilt for murdering people disappeared instantly. When he saw this, Thomas said anxiously that someone would find them for gold. Besides, if they kept this gold, they couldn't explain the death of the crew. Others would mistakenly think that they were the ones who killed the crew for gold. Killing for self-defense and killing for money was completely different. Thomas didn't want to get into trouble with this. He also didn't want to ruin his 25-year career. The three were in a stalemate because of their disagreement. Thomas thought for a while and his attitude finally changed. But he asked James and Donald to do what he said. Firstly, they needed to sink the body into the sea. When the shift came to take over, they would divide the gold and hide it in each suitcase. After going back, they couldn't appear to be suddenly rich, not to mention they didn't say anything about this. They had to continue the hard life of the past, continuing to work in shifts to guard the lighthouse. Then they found someone they could trust to exchange gold for cash in a year. James and Donald were very happy to see Thomas change his mind. They listened to what Thomas said, holding the corpse in preparation for sinking. At this time, Thomas, who was walking in front, saw a ship approaching here. He hastily asked James and Donald to carry the body into the chapel nearby. Then he found a place to hide the gold. Soon the boat drew on the shore and two men asked Thomas if he had seen a boat. One of their crew members left in a lifeboat a few days ago and was still missing. Thomas's half-truth said that he did find a lifeboat, but unfortunately, the crew member was dead. But the other party seemed to be more concerned about the wooden box with the ship. Thomas said he had reported to the police as required. The police took away the body and the box 3 hours ago. After the other party got the same answer from Donald and James, believing in doubt, they had to leave the radio band number at the lighthouse and left by boat. Thomas arranged for Donald to watch outside until the other party's boat crossed the horizon before coming together. And he and James quickly went back to fix the radio, because if the other party found that their radio was broken, then the lies they called the police would be exposed. After a while, the other party really used the radio to contact Thomas. But the lighthouse's radio hadn't been repaired yet. They could only hear the call, but the other party couldn't hear the voice here. At the same time, the other party found that Donald had been staring at him, and they determined that the matter was strange. So they immediately turned the boat and came back. Donald hurriedly ran to report the matter. The matter had been exposed, there was no need to lie. Thomas asked everyone to stand on the shore with tools such as a head-raising shovel and not let the other party show up. The other side sailed around the island looking for opportunities to land. The two sides confronted each other until it got dark. Suddenly a dog was barking from the lighthouse. Thomas felt bad. He hurriedly ran back with Donald to investigate the situation. Sure enough, one of them had sneaked into the lighthouse. And James, who was staring outside, was also attacked by the enemy boar. Thomas and Donald were not their opponents at all. One was knocked to the ground and the other was pressed on a chair. The other party was harsh and asked Thomas the whereabouts of the gold. Although Thomas's legs hurt, his mouth was hard. When the opponent became angry, James, who was not dead, suddenly rushed in and smothered Boar with a stick and strangled his neck severely. Thomas also took the opportunity to wipe the opponent tightly and not let go. Donald quickly got up when he saw that his teammates took action. He solved the enemy with a noose. Then Thomas told everyone to follow the original plan to prevent someone from coming here. If someone asked, just say that they stopped and looked for the navigation map. After they got the map, they left here. When they were talking, Donald found people outside the window. James took the hook and chased him. He killed another person. When Thomas took the flashlight and ran over, they just realized that the other person was a little boy. This made James extremely blame himself. The next morning, Thomas looked at the three bodies. Thomas, who was always calm and prudent, couldn't help hiding and crying silently. Unexpectedly, the difference in thought made him sink deeper and deeper into the abyss of sin. At this point, they could only throw the bodies into the sea. Since James killed the boy by mistake, a sense of guilt made him overwhelmed and crazy. Donald saw that this teammate might be useless. Now if someone asked him about the murder, he would reveal it immediately. To protect himself, he really wanted to kill James. But when he approached and saw the hook in James's hand, he was stunned again. After that, James' mental state got worse and worse and he put all the blame on Donald. In his opinion, if it hadn't been for Donald to kill the crew member first, the next thing wouldn't have happened. Thomas comforted James and Donald also killed people out of self-defense. James thought Thomas was helping Donald, so he hid in the chapel and didn't want to come out. Thomas saw James' ears stuffed with donkey hair, didn't want to hear anything. He could only persuade Donald not to fight with James in the future. No one could help them if they were not united. But Donald couldn't bear the day and night. He was afraid he didn't want to wait any longer. He wanted Thomas to leave the island with him with gold. Thomas said that only they had James, there was no danger. If James took this out, no one could run away. At this moment the fogger alarm sounded. Thomas hurried to turn off the alarm but James was nowhere to be found. Then they inspected the lighthouse and the ship separately, but they still had no trace of James. Donald thought they must go now. Thomas still insisted that they couldn't go anywhere without James. When they were talking, James suddenly pushed the door. He said he didn't mean to scare people on purpose. He was just too confused recently. Then he sat down and apologized to Donald. Thomas and Donald were very happy to see James's condition finally return to normal. Thomas got up and went to the storage room to get wine. He hoped everyone could have a drink together like before. Unexpectedly, James came to the door of the storage room and suddenly locked Thomas inside. Thomas felt bad, but when he smashed open the door and came out, Donald was breathless. Thomas was full of grief and indignation, so he could only vent his anger on James. This was over, it was too late to say anything. Now they didn't have to wait to change shifts, they could only run away with the gold. They took Donald's body onto the boat and slowly plunged into the sea. James wanted to commit suicide at this time. Thomas advised him to think about his family. And James wanted to commit suicide because of thinking about his wife and children. He didn't want his family to bear these lies like him. He also didn't want his family to know that he was the murderer. For him, he could only be released by going to hell. Thomas could only help James to fulfill his wish. In the end, Thomas stood alone on the boat, looking out to the boundless sea. The eyes were full of confusion and despair. The film is adapted from a true story. But in addition to using the real names, the rest is all based on the brain of the screenwriter. And the brain supplement is very unreasonable. The disappearance of the 3 tower guards is still a mystery today. Okay, this is the end of this issue. Friends who like it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, see you next time.